Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Brian.
And this morning, Nintendo had another Nintendo Direct. This was their Nindy Showcase, yet another Nindy Showcase. They've already done one earlier this month. They did one earlier this year, showcasing some of the indie titles they're bringing to Nintendo Switch in the very near future. It's been a lot. They have a very, very steep goals for how many indie titles they're trying to bring to the platform. But I think even this latest presentation shows really just how hard they're leaning on these indie titles to fill some of the gaps in their first-party exclusive programming.
They're going hard, and I'm not sighing because I'm upset, but my wallet can only take so much.
But here's the thing: is a bunch of these games you may already have on other platforms, and not all of them are exclusives either. So we'll run down a little bit of what they've announced, what's exclusive, what's not exclusive necessarily, what's ports of older titles, and so on.
Do you think they know that people are rebuying a lot of these games just because they're on the Switch? Because I've done at least 3 games because of that.
I like to think I'm a smart consumer, and then I do that. So, yeah, sometimes I can justify it really easily. Something like Stardew Valley, where I've put in so many hours, and for me, it's absolutely
I owe them
worth
more
it.
money.
Yeah, one, just because I like supporting the developer, but
yes.
2, because this is a platform that I like to have things on. I travel a lot. It's great to just have things on the go.
Yeah.
So this new range of announcements is sort of doing that again to me. There's let me really quickly run down what they announced today. Really, they focused on one exclusive called Dragon Marked for Death, and that's coming out in December. But then they had a bunch of other titles that are new, as in they're not existing games. They are going to be multi-platform games, so they're not Switch exclusives, but they're not already available elsewhere.
Right.
And that was a pretty long list. It includes Treasure Stack, Zarva Mineko's Night Market, Samurai Gun 2, The World Next Door, Levelhead, King of the Hat, an untitled game where you can be an asshole goose.
Asshole Goose is just a great name.
That's the whole logline. That's the whole selling point. Desert Child, The Messenger, Jackbox, Party Pack 5, and Light Fingers. There is another exclusive in there as well called Bullet Age.
So these are all coming, there's some exclusives, but the rest of those, it's coming to the Switch at the same time it's coming to all the other platforms.
Okay. Yeah, so these are upcoming titles that will be available. Most of them are available on PC at the very least, if not the other consoles as well. And then there was also a number of announcements of games that are already on other consoles, other platforms in general, PC in particular, including Hyper Light Drifter, Towerfall, Wasteland 2, the Director's Cut, Bastion from Supergiant Games, not to be confused with the Overwatch guy.
Right.
Undertale, Transistor, Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP, and Into the Breach. And Into the Breach was actually a surprise drop.
Yes.
That one's been out on PC already. I'm not sure if it's on
I don't think it's on any other console.
I've only ever seen it on PC, but that's from the developer of FTL, Faster Than Light, and that was sort of the mic drop that they left the Direct with of like, by the way, it's available now.
Yeah, and all of those that you just listed, the ones that have been on PC, they all seem like very well-regarded PC games. Sort of like eye-popping, like, ooh, that's on the Switch? That's awesome. Like, that's something to maybe like if you're a console player, you don't play a lot of Steam games, these would be nice pickups for you.
Yeah, I don't really go down that list and think, oh, that rubbish game. Like a Hyper Light Drifter, amazing game. Bastion, amazing game. Undertale, I really, really loved it.
Yeah.
And Transistor was, we actually gave it a patch game of the year for an indie title one year because we loved that one so much. Into the Breach, very well regarded. There are some titles I don't know as much about, like Super Brothers, but
some of these like Light Fingers, I think is like a tabletop game that's like being like converted to the Switch. So I have a friend tell me about that. She's really looking forward to that. I'm still playing Hollow Knight, which I've never played before, but it's great. It's on the Switch, and if you've never played it, like the Switch is a great platform for it.
It is, but it does kind of illustrate that Nintendo they're not having a Microsoft problem per se. They do have exclusives, but they've had a couple of really big gaps in their exclusive lineups this year.
Yes.
The opening of the year, the first couple months were very, very thin, and then they had a series of games coming out. They kind of space them out a month apart if they can. They had Nintendo Labo in April, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze in May, Mario Tennis Aces in June, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker in July. And then that's their first party break. They do have other exclusives, like Octopath Traveler is a great example, but technically it's a Square Enix game.
And 2 of those are Wii U ports. I mean,
yes.
Tropical Freeze and Captain Toad, both good games, but yeah, these aren't brand new either.
Right, but it also worked out so well for them with things like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that I'm sure they're looking at everything from the Wii U going, let's bring it on up.
Bayonetta 2 they brought over. Yeah, it's I think they're trying all they can to tide us over until we get to Smash Brothers Ultimate and Pokemon and all that.
Yeah, well, so technically the window starts in October. That's when their holiday release window of exclusives hits, because that's when Super Mario Party comes out. And I feel like Super Mario Party is kind of getting overshadowed by Pokemon Let's Go and Super Smash Brothers, just in terms of scale.
Yeah, I haven't been hearing as much for that, but it seems perfectly suited for Switch. I mean, it's kind of, it goes with the style of gameplay they want to encourage with the Switch, which is kind of local co-op, local multiplayer.
Well, sure, not only that, but instead of just throwing your Wiimote through the TV in Rage or whatever, you can throw your whole Switch!
Those were the days.
And then, bam! New Switch.
Yeah. Just an extra sale for them.
Hey, but they have had this several month period, and they've been really looking to these indie titles to round out their lineup. So that lineup of games is what they announced shut off today.
A few hours ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but just over a week ago, on the 20th, they had another one that was hosted by Nintendo Europe that was a completely different lineup of games.
Right. Now, also packed.
It was. That one did have a lot more ports that are already available on other platforms, but they did have a couple that are going to be hitting Switch when they hit other platforms. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, The Gardens Between Children of Morta and Baba Is You. But then the ports include Streets of Rogue, Bad North, Moonlighter, This War of Mine, Everspace, Stellar Edition, Slay the Spire, Windjammers, Terraria, Prison Architect, and Morphe's Law.
Slay the Spire is another one of those that I don't know if it's on another console. I know it's on PC.
Yeah, definitely PC. I haven't seen it on another console, but I also haven't... because those have always hit first on PC for me, and that's where I get them.
Right.
There are some games that I don't pay a lot of attention to if they hit the other consoles, because that experience isn't going to be enormously different right until it hits the Switch, where I'm like, oh, I can take it with me.
It seems like they have figured out that the Switch owner is not... they're going to be interested first and foremost in first-party Nintendo stuff, but also I think... maybe they're going to get their multiplats elsewhere. They're going to get their Red Dead Redemption 2, obviously, or Spider-Man's elsewhere. That's not a multiplat. And I think they're looking at indies as this is more we can give you that you'll probably like because you might like these. Generally, there are a lot of quirkier games, I think.
Yeah, a little bit weirder.
Yeah, a little weirder, a lot of pixel stuff, a lot of anime.
That's also important to note as well, that if you look at this lineup of games, one of the reasons Nintendo may be leaning so heavily on indie titles is because they do tend to be less resource intensive.
Yeah. Oh,
and the
absolutely.
Switch can run them without having to severely compromise the gameplay experience, which is, there are some multi-platform games that have done a really good job of making their Switch ports run as good as possible and look as good as they possibly can. Doom's a great example.
And then Doom Eternal, with that mic drop, it's coming out on the Switch at the same time. But it is going to have to be downscaled.
Yes.
It's probably still going to be fine. It's going to work, but... There are compromises you have to make graphically. Yeah, indies you don't have to compromise Stardew Valley for the Switch, and that's great though. It's perfect for that piece of hardware.
Yeah, but it does indicate to me that there are reasons why they're leaning on this type of game.
Yeah.
But that said, I am really enjoying this lineup. There are way too many games that I'm probably going to buy again that I don't need to, and I should talk myself out of because we're about to hit the holiday period, and there are too many other games that I really need to be playing that I haven't played before on other platforms, Ashley. But here we are, and I probably will do so.
I was just telling a friend on chat today, I just want to take like a month off and just play video games, like just to catch up. It feels like work, but like good.
And that just won't even be enough.
No, there's no way. Even from, if you play 18 hours a day, I still won't catch up.
Yeah.
But there's, I don't know, there's a lot of good stuff. I heard a Rooster Teeth community member has been telling me for months about Slay the Spire and how much fun it is. The one that's just coming out today, the tactical one, I've heard great things.
Into the Breach?
Yeah, like, I'm going to go buy that because that seems awesome. But yeah, it's literally just a matter of like not enough hours, because then it's Dragon Quest, then it's Spider-Man, then we're under Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's like, fuck.
Yes, not to mention we've got Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Yeah, I know. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming.
Which looks good.
I know. So we're about to get into some real trouble here.
Fallout 76. We haven't Fallout
Stop!
76.
Please stop. At least that's not until November.
Right.
So
that's
we have
true.
that.
At least.
But one thing that all of these new games and announcements are throwing into relief that Nintendo's going to need to take care of very soon, I think, is how they handle curation on their store.
Oh, that's going to be a big problem.
It really
probably
is.
already is.
It is. You even now, if you go on and you see the newest releases, you're just scrolling through a bunch of games that you don't really have any context for if you haven't already heard about them, and they are rolling out a Nindies channel, essentially, where they will have a channel in the store specifically to highlight indie games, but they're still releasing so many of those indie games that, like, it's just still going to be a problem. I think they need to honestly look at something like Steam, which I know it has its own problems with surfacing because it's talking in the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of games coming out every year. And so they have their own surfacing issues, but for like the scale that Nintendo is looking at, they could still take some cues for surfacing based on user reviews or tagging, even if you need to approve tags,
a recommendation system that's maybe a little more robust. The problem I think with the Switch is it tends to present every single game as almost exactly the same.
Exactly.
I don't know if they even have a review system up yet. They need, even when they had one for 3DS, it was kind of like everything seemed to get 4 stars and it told you nothing. But just everything being presented as an icon, that tells me nothing. You know, it could be a piece of crap shovelware game, which there are some of those on the Switch.
Absolutely.
There's some garbage on there. They need to give me more of, you know enough about me after a year and a half of what I like.
We've
what
been
I've
together
playing.
a while now.
Yeah, I'm sure you're collecting data. Like, use that to help me. Like, push up, Hyper Light Drifter, or push up, if I've been playing the shit out of Hollow Knight, if I played 60 hours into Octopath Traveler, that's going to give them information to suggest more stuff.
Right, like recommend more games like this.
Yeah, that's not crap. And let me see some reviews, honest reviews from people to give me an idea of, okay, is this good, or is this just something in that 3 to 4 star range that I know that tells me nothing?
Sure. All right, let us know what you think about all of these new Nindy announcements that Nintendo has made today, last week as well. And if you have any suggestions for how they can better curate the Nintendo store, I'm sure Nintendo is definitely reading the comments and can benefit from the wisdom. If nothing else, we read the comments.
Yeah.
We're paying attention to them.
I would like to read their suggestions, because it's a big problem. They need to work on it.
Yeah. So if you have a brilliant idea, absolutely let us know in the comments to keep up to date on all of the new releases for Nintendo Switch, not to mention all of the holiday games that we're about to become absolutely inundated with. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to The Know, and we will have you covered on news, on impressions, on gameplay, on all that stuff.
I'm going to be sick next week.
You don't.